Dr. Brightclaw's mandibles clicked in anticipation as he observed the titanium beast of Nexus 7 through the quantum glass barrier. The creature, with its triple-layered carbon steel hide and regenerative abilities, represented the pinnacle of natural evolution. If anything could survive compound VX9, it would be this magnificent specimen. "Begin final test sequence," he commanded, his three eyes fixed on the monitoring screens. The Valaxian assistants, each chosen for their steady hands and iron nerves, moved with precise coordination. One drop of the iridescent liquid descended through the automated delivery system. The titanium beast didn't even have time to roar. Where the galaxy's most indestructible creature once stood, only a puddle of rapidly decomposing organic matter remained. The lab's sensors screamed as they detected the molecular breakdown cascading through the specimen's supposedly impenetrable hide. "Another failure," Brightclaw muttered, mandibles drooping. "Computer, update test log. Subject 2749 demonstrated complete cellular dissolution in 0.3 seconds. Note: even enhanced metallic biological hybridization offers no resistance to compound VX9. The laboratory aboard Helios 7 hummed with energy as ancient quantum computers processed the results. Brightclaw moved through the maze of floating holographic displays, each showing different aspects of the failed experiment. The station's position at the galaxy's edge made it perfect for such dangerous research. Nothing could survive out here. Waves of light rippled across the lab's reactive surfaces, automatically adjusting to maintain optimal research conditions. Automated cleaning drones swooped in to collect the remains of the test subject, their containment fields glowing with enough power to hold a small sun. "Sir," his lead assistant called out, all four arms working different control panels simultaneously. "The preliminary analysis shows something unprecedented. The specimen's molecular structure actually tried to adapt during breakdown. It lasted 0.001 seconds longer than our models predicted." "Fascinating." Brightclaw leaned closer to the data stream. "Perhaps if we modify the next test to—" The lab's primary communication array burst to life, cutting him off mid-sentence. The station's AI materialized in its preferred form of swirling geometric patterns. "Priority message from Central Command," it announced. "Due to critical system instabilities in Sector 7, a maintenance specialist has been dispatched to Helios 7. Arrival imminent." Brightclaw's scales rippled with annoyance. "Maintenance? Now? We're on the verge of a breakthrough. The timing is—" "Additional information," the AI continued. "Specialist species designation, human." The word hung in the air like a death sentence. Every assistant froze. One dropped an extremely expensive quantum analyzer which shattered in the suddenly silent lab. "Human?" Brightclaw whispered, all three eyes widening. "They're sending a Deathworlder to my laboratory? To my perfectly controlled environment? To my—" The station shuddered slightly, announcing the arrival of a transport ship. "Well," Brightclaw said to no one in particular, "at least this day can't get any more interesting." The universe, as it often does, took that as a challenge. The laboratory doors parted with a pneumatic hiss, and every piece of monitoring equipment in the room suddenly went haywire. Warning symbols flashed across holographic displays as Sarah Cooper strode in, her heavy maintenance kit slung over one shoulder. The sensors, calibrated for known galactic life forms, couldn't seem to process what they were detecting. "Whoa," Sarah surveyed the lab, her eyes reflecting the shimmer of quantum fields. "You folks really love your blinking lights, don't you?" Containment breach. Unknown biological signatures detected. The station's AI blared. Emergency force fields sparked to life, then immediately short-circuited. Error. Unable to establish baseline parameters for containment protocols. Brightclaw's mandibles twitched as he studied the readings. The human's body temperature alone would be fatal for half the known sentient species. Her cellular activity resembled a star about to go supernova, and the chemical cocktail flowing through her veins would qualify as a weapons-grade substance on most civilized worlds. "You must be Dr. Brightclaw," Sarah extended her hand, then quickly withdrew it when she noticed his assistants diving for cover. Right, sorry. Forgot about the whole humans are walking biohazards thing. Now, about these power fluctuations. She moved toward the main power coupling, her toolkit already open. The lab's defensive systems continued their electronic panic attack. Proximity sensors wailed in despair as their safety protocols were confronted with something that defied safety itself. "Wait," Brightclaw called out. "That area houses extremely dangerous." Too late. Sarah had already ducked under the warning markers, her maintenance scanner whirring. "Found your problem. Looks like quantum decay in the primary coupling. Should be a quick fix. Just need to—" The next few seconds seemed to stretch into eternity. Sarah's elbow brushed against a containment field generator. The field flickered, creating a microscopic gap in the protection around compound VX9. A single drop of the toxin, no larger than a dust mote, landed on Sarah's exposed neck. The lab erupted into chaos. Automated systems screamed. Containment protocols activated, failed, reactivated, and failed again as they encountered Sarah's impossible biology. 3 assistants began their species' death rituals. Another one just fainted. "Emergency medical response initiated," the AI announced, its voice hitting notes previously unknown to physics. "Warning, standard treatment protocols non-applicable. Warning, detected biochemistry incompatible with known medical science. Warning, this unit is experiencing what organics refer to as a nervous breakdown." Sarah reached up and wiped the drop away with her thumb. "Sorry, did I mess up your experiment? That stuff tingles a bit." Brightclaw's 3 eyes blinked in rapid succession. "Tingles, tingles. That compound just dissolved a titanium beast into its component atoms." "Oh," Sarah looked at her thumb with mild interest. "Neat. Say, is that normal?" She pointed to a scanner, where the drop of VX9 was actually being absorbed into her skin, her cells apparently treating it like a mild stimulus. The last conscious assistant finally gave up and joined their colleague in stress-induced unconsciousness. The lab's systems, after one final attempt to comprehend what they were witnessing, simply shut down in protest. "Fascinating," Brightclaw whispered, his scientific curiosity overriding his survival instinct. "You should be dead, very, very dead. Instead, your cellular structure appears to be processing the toxin." "If you say so." Sarah shrugged, turning back to the power coupling. "Now, about these fluctuations, I think I can reroute the quantum flow through— Why is everyone staring at me like that?" The universe, Brightclaw realized, had just handed him either the greatest scientific discovery in history or the end of everything he understood about biology, possibly both. Helios 7's medical bay resembled a war zone between science and common sense. 12 different species of medical professionals argued over treatment protocols, while their equipment sparked and smoked, trying to process Sarah's vital signs. "Her core temperature indicates severe plasma burns," shouted a mist healer from Nebula 6, their gaseous forms swirling in agitation. "No, you nebulous nitwit," countered Dr. Miralax, her 6 arms juggling various scanning devices. "That's her normal temperature. But look at these toxicity readings. Her blood should be crystallizing." Sarah sat calmly on an examination table, watching the medical chaos unfold. The monitoring systems around her kept shorting out, unable to classify a being whose very existence violated most known laws of biology. "Remarkable," Brightclaw muttered, studying a cellular scan. "The VX9 molecules aren't just failing to kill her. They're being systematically dismantled by her immune system. Look at this." He projected a hologram showing Sarah's cellular activity. The assembled medical team watched in horrified fascination as her white blood cells actively hunted down the deadly toxin. Instead of dissolving, they were breaking the compound apart and impossibly using it for energy. "It's like watching microscopic predators," a young Valaxian researcher observed, then promptly fainted when Sarah sneezed. "Speaking of predators," Dr. Miralax interjected, pulling up Earth's planetary data, "I've been analyzing her homeworld specifications. This can't be correct." Her voices trailed off as the numbers scrolled across the screen. Brightclaw's scales paled. Multiple extinction-level events, constant exposure to ionizing radiation, atmospheric composition including known corrosive elements. This planet shouldn't support multicellular life, let alone develop sentient beings. Oh yeah, Sarah nodded. Earth's pretty intense. You should see what happens during tornado season, or when Australia's wildlife gets rowdy. The medical team huddled around the planetary data, their professional composure crumbling as they read further. Earth wasn't just a death world. It was practically a cosmic stress test for evolution. Your species survived multiple global cooling events by developing internal temperature regulation. Dr. Mirlax's multiple arms gesticulated wildly. And then you artificially recreate cold environments for entertainment? You mean ice skating? Yeah, it's fun. Though I prefer rock climbing myself. Nothing like hanging off a cliff face to get the blood pumping. 3 more medical staff needed emergency sedation. Brightclaw was about to question Sarah's definition of fun when a secured transmission cut through the medical bay's chaos. The message was brief, encrypted, and sent his scales shifting through colors previously unknown to chromatic science. "This is impossible," he whispered, reading the data. "VX9's molecular structure. These patterns, they're not random. The compound was engineered." "What?" Dr. Mirlax abandoned her attempts to classify Sarah's biology. "But the official records state it was discovered in a dying star." "The patterns are too precise." Brightclaw projected a molecular diagram. "Look at these bonds. They're specifically designed to target common biological structures across all known species. All known non-human species," he corrected, glancing at Sarah. "Someone made this stuff on purpose." Sarah hopped off the examination table, causing nearby equipment to spark in protest. "That seems unnecessarily hostile. Though I guess it explains the weird aftertaste." "Aftertaste?" the medical team screamed in unison. Before anyone could stop her, Sarah pulled out her maintenance scanner. "Hey, these molecular patterns. They match some weird energy readings I picked up in Sector 12. You know, the supposedly abandoned research wing?" The room fell silent, broken only by the sound of failing medical equipment and fainting medical staff. "Sector 12 was decommissioned cycles ago," Brightclaw said slowly. "Unless—" A new alert flashed across the medical bay's screens. Priority message from Central Command. Contain the human. Secure compound VX9. Knowledge of structural similarities. Classified level Omega. "Well," Sarah grinned, already reprogramming her maintenance scanner. "This just got interesting. Want to go explore an abandoned sector full of probably illegal weapons research?" Brightclaw looked at his unconscious medical team, the failing equipment, and the human who had just casually survived the deadliest substance in known space. "The rational answer would be no," he said. "But," Sarah prompted, "but I suspect rationality left the station the moment you arrived." He straightened his coat. "Besides, I believe we're about to have company, the kind that doesn't appreciate scientific curiosity." As if on cue, heavy footsteps echoed down the corridor. The hunt for answers was about to begin, and Sarah was still grinning. The Galactic Council's emergency session materialized in Helios 7's quantum communication chamber. 24 of the most powerful beings in known space flickering into existence. Their holographic forms crowded the room, each trying to appear more important than the others. "This is unprecedented," thundered High Counselor Vex, his crystalline form vibrating with barely contained fury. "A single human's existence threatens the entire balance of power." "The Deathworlder must be contained," hissed Representative Nvara of the Stellar Concordat, her serpentine form coiling anxiously. "Our latest analysis suggests her genetic structure could revolutionize biological warfare." Brightclaw stood before them, Sarah conspicuously absent from the proceedings. He'd convinced her to investigate the energy readings in Sector 12 while he handled the politics. In retrospect, letting a human loose in an abandoned weapons research facility might not have been his wisest decision. "Honored Council," he began, "the human's immunity to VX9 is merely one aspect of a larger picture. Her entire species has evolved." We're well aware of what humans are, interrupted Admiral Zix of the Military Science Division. His hologram stepped forward, dominating the chamber. What interests us is how quickly her cells adapted to the compound. The applications for our defense programs. Defense programs? A new voice cut through the chamber. Director Mira of the Peace Coalition materialized, her energy form pulsing with barely contained outrage. Is that what we're calling biological weapons now? The chamber erupted into chaos. Accusations flew faster than photons in a quantum accelerator. Hidden alliances revealed themselves in the way certain council members grouped together, their interests aligning like deadly constellations. The human's DNA sequence must be secured, demanded General Krav of the Outer Rim Forces. Our facilities are best equipped to study such unique specimens. Study? Director Mira's form flared, like you studied the Proxima colony before it mysteriously vanished. Brightclaw's scales rippled as he watched the political dance unfold. Every faction wanted a piece of what Sarah represented. Not just immunity to VX9, but the potential to revolutionize everything from medicine to warfare. A classified data packet suddenly burst through the quantum network, overriding all security protocols. The council fell silent as genetic sequences scrolled across their displays. Impossible, whispered Navarra. Their entire species carries these adaptations. Every human is potentially a walking arsenal of biological innovations. Admiral Zix finished, his hologram practically salivating. Imagine armies enhanced with human DNA, soldiers immune to every known toxin. Imagine the catastrophe if such abilities spread unchecked, countered Vex. These humans are biological wildcards. They must be. The chamber's emergency alerts suddenly screamed to life. Security feeds from Sector 12 flashed across every display. Sarah's maintenance scanner had found something that made several council members visibly panic. The human must be secured immediately, General Kraft barked. Deploy the Phantom units. Maximum force authorized. Wait. Brightclaw stepped forward. You don't understand what you're dealing with. Humans aren't just resistant to threats. They adapt to them. Every attempt to contain them only makes them stronger. Then we'll have to ensure this one doesn't get the chance to adapt, Admiral Zix said coldly. His hologram turned to face the others. All in favor of immediate acquisition of the human asset. Hands raised across the chamber. Only Director Mira and a few others abstained, their forms dimming in protest. Dr. Brightclaw, Admiral Zix's hologram loomed over him. You have 1 hour to prepare the human for transfer. After that, my units are authorized to use whatever means necessary. The quantum link severed, leaving Brightclaw alone in the darkened chamber. He reached for his communicator, hoping Sarah had found something useful in Sector 12. Something that might explain why the galaxy's most powerful beings were suddenly terrified of a single maintenance worker. His communicator crackled to life. Sarah's voice came through, mixed with what sounded like alarm klaxons and weapons fire. Hey, Doc, she said, far too cheerfully for someone in her situation. Remember those energy readings? Well, funny story. The games of galactic politics were about to collide with human unpredictability. The results would be explosive. The abandoned corridors of Sector 12 told a story that someone had tried very hard to erase. Sarah's maintenance scanner swept across walls covered in blast marks and strange crystalline growths, while Brightclaw studied decades-old data fragments scattered across shattered terminals. Found something, Sarah called out, her scanner interfacing with a partially melted console. Project files. Looks like they tried to quantum purge them but forgot about the emergency backup systems. Amateur hour. The holographic displays sputtered to life, revealing strings of classified data. Brightclaw's 3 eyes widened as he read, his scales shifting to a shade of grey previously unknown to chromatic science. VX9 wasn't found, he whispered. It was created here in this very lab, by the Purifiers. The who now? A shadow division of the Council's military wing, they. Brightclaw froze as more files decrypted. They were developing the ultimate biological deterrent, a way to ensure complete control over every species in the galaxy. The station's lights suddenly dimmed, emergency systems activating with a mournful wail. Sarah's scanner beeped urgently. "We've got company," she announced, studying the readouts. "Someone's systematically shutting down station systems. Life support, gravity controls, emergency containment. They're not just trying to stop us. They're trying to wipe this place clean." As if summoned by her words, a new voice echoed through the darkened corridor. Cold, synthetic, and carrying the weight of absolute authority. "Dr. Brightclaw, human designation Sarah Cooper. You have accessed restricted files. Protocol demands immediate termination." Black armored figures materialized from quantum shadows, their suits bearing no insignia except for a single purple crystal, the same color as VX9.
"The purifiers!" Brightclaw hissed. "They're supposed to be a myth!"
"Myths don't usually try to kill you with fancy quantum guns," Sarah observed, diving behind a console as energy bolts scorched the air. "Hey, Doc, quick question. These jerks built this place, right?" "Yes, but—" "So they probably designed all the systems, the ones they're now shutting down?" "Correct, but I fail to see—" Sarah's grin was visible even in the emergency lighting. "They designed it, but I've been maintaining it, and honey, I've made some improvements." Her fingers flew across her scanner. Suddenly, the station's systems began responding in ways their designers never intended. Maintenance robots emerged from hidden access panels, their cleaning protocols rewritten into combat algorithms. Ventilation systems reversed, creating localized gravity wells that pulled weapons from startled hands.
"Impossible!"
the Purifier commander snarled.
"These systems are quantum locked!"
"Yeah, about that," Sarah called out, while a cleaning bot armed with industrial-strength sanitizer engaged two purifiers in surprisingly effective combat. Fun fact about humans, we get really bored during night shifts, so we tinker, improve things, like adding backdoor overrides to quantum-locked systems. More files decrypted on the ancient terminal. Brightclaw read them with growing horror. "They've been experimenting for decades," he said. "VX9 was just the beginning. They were creating a biological reset button, a way to force evolution itself to bow to their will. And then humans showed up," Sarah added, reprogramming another maintenance bot, "walking proof that evolution doesn't play by their rules. No wonder they're scared." The commander raised his hand, revealing a crystal identical to the one containing VX9. "You understand nothing. Humanity is an aberration, a threat to ordered development. We guide species along proper evolutionary paths. Your kind simply breaks everything it touches." "Funny you should say that," Sarah replied. Her scanner beeped one final time. "Speaking of breaking things." Throughout the station, systems began failing in precisely calculated sequences. But instead of shutting down, they reactivated in new configurations. Emergency protocols engaged, but not the ones the purifiers had designed. "What have you done?" the commander demanded. "Like you said, I break things. But here's the thing about us humans." Sarah stood up, her scanner displaying a complex web of system overrides. "We're really good at putting them back together in ways you never imagined." The station shuddered as Sarah's changes propagated through its systems. The purifier's control was slipping, their carefully ordered world descending into beautiful chaos. And in the encrypted files still streaming across the ancient terminal, the full truth of VX9's creation began to emerge. It wasn't just a weapon, it was a key to something that made even the purifier's commander step back in fear when he realized what Sarah had discovered. "Oh no," he whispered. "She found the Catalyst Protocol." The real game was about to begin. "The Catalyst Protocol was never meant for your kind." The Purifier commander's voice echoed through Sector 12 as emergency barriers slammed down, trapping Sarah and Brightclaw in the research zone with his forces. "Funny thing about meant for," Sarah replied, rapidly rewiring her maintenance scanner into something distinctly more dangerous. "Back on Earth we have this saying, necessity is the mother of invention. The station's artificial gravity fluctuated as both sides fought for control. Sarah moved with practiced ease, her body naturally compensating for the shifts. Years of space station maintenance had taught her how to treat zero gravity like an old friend.
"Bright Claw," she called out, "remember how you said humans evolved on a death world?"
"This hardly seems the time for a biology lesson," he responded, ducking behind a partially dissolved console as quantum rounds pierced the air. "Actually, it's the perfect time. See, when you grow up on a planet that's actively trying to kill you, you learn something important." She grabbed a broken coolant pipe, the freezing liquid inside crystallizing on contact with air. Everything is a weapon if you're creative enough. The purifiers advanced in perfect formation, their quantum armor gleaming. Sarah responded by releasing the crystallized coolant into their path. The supercooled fragments reacted with their armor's energy fields, creating a spectacular sheet of quantum ice. "Impossible," one purifier shouted, sliding helplessly into his companions. "She's weaponized basic maintenance materials." "Basic?" Sarah grinned, already moving to her next improvisation. "Honey, you haven't seen basic yet." She reached into her toolkit, pulling out what looked like standard repair equipment. But in her hands, they transformed. Magnetic sealing clamps became improvised grenades. Plasma welders turned into makeshift defense shields. Even her steel-toed boots found new purpose, as she kicked a fallen weapon into a gravity fluctuation, creating a spinning turret of chaos. Brightclaw watched in fascination as Sarah turned the station's own systems against their attackers. She wasn't just surviving. She was adapting the environment itself to serve her needs. "The maintenance shaft," he suddenly called out. "If we can reach it." "Already on it." Sarah had rewired her scanner to interface with the shaft's service robots. The small machines, usually used for routine repairs, emerged like an army of metallic insects, carrying tools that were never designed to be weapons, but were doing a remarkably good job of it anyway. The Purifier Commander raised his crystalline weapon. "Enough of these games. Initialize final containment protocol." "About that," Sarah smirked, holding up her scanner. "While you were busy monologuing, I found something interesting in the old research files. Want to know what happens when you expose quantum armor to a specific frequency of maintenance band radiation?" The commander's eyes widened behind his visor. "You didn't—" "Remember what I said about humans getting bored during night shifts? We do a lot of reading, including classified research files that weren't as deleted as someone thought." She pressed a button on her scanner. Every maintenance speaker in the sector suddenly emitted a high-pitched tone. The Purifier's armor began to vibrate, their perfect formation dissolving into chaos. "Dr. Brightclaw," Sarah called out, already moving toward their escape route. "I suggest covering your eyes. This next part gets a bit bright." The station's lights flared as Sarah executed her final improvisation. The Purifier's quantum armor, designed to withstand any conventional attack, found itself defenseless against the most unconventional weapon of all, human ingenuity. And somewhere in the chaos, a data transfer completed silently. The Catalyst Protocol had found its new home, in the most dangerous place possible, a human mind. The Galactic Council chamber had never looked more disheveled. Quantum screens displayed the aftermath of what they now called the Helios 7 incident, while dignitaries from across the galaxy struggled to process the implications of what had occurred. "Let me understand this correctly," High Counselor Vex stated, his crystalline form vibrating with barely contained disbelief. "One human maintenance worker defeated an elite purifier squad using cleaning robots and improvised weapons." "And rewrote our security protocols," Admiral Zix added, looking both impressed and terrified. "Using a modified maintenance scanner and—" What was it again? "Boredom," Sarah supplied helpfully from her new position at the council table. "Plus a lot of late-night reading. Your classified files really need better encryption." The Galactic Classification Committee presented their updated report, causing several council members to emit distress signals in various wavelengths. We must recognize, Dr. Brightclaw addressed the assembly, that we've been categorizing humans completely wrong. They're not just Deathworlders. They're what we never thought possible, an apex adaptation species. The data is undeniable, Director Mira's energy form pulsed. Humans don't just survive threats, they integrate them. The Catalyst Protocol, designed to control evolution itself, became a learning tool in human hands. Sarah examined her newly issued galactic security credentials. So, just to be clear, you're officially classifying Earth as a Class X evolutionary accelerator and hiring humans as security consultants. Under very specific conditions, Vex stressed. No unsupervised access to weapons research, no improving critical systems without approval, and absolutely no teaching maintenance robots to sing battle hymns. That last one's non-negotiable, Sarah countered. They've already learned the entire Eye of the Tiger choreography. Dr. Brightclaw's final research paper, titled Humanity, When Evolution Says Hold My Beer, became an instant galactic bestseller. His conclusion sent shockwaves through the scientific community. In our quest to perfect biological weapons, we created something that could destroy any life form. Then we discovered a species that treats our deadliest creations as mild inconveniences. Perhaps the universe has a sense of humor after all. The new treaty was signed, with one unexpected clause. All potentially dangerous research facilities must have at least one human on their maintenance staff. Not for maintenance, but because humans had a unique talent for finding and creatively solving problems nobody else even knew existed. As the ceremony concluded, Sarah approached Brightclaw with a peculiar request. "Hey, Doc, about that sample of VX9. Absolutely not. I was just going to suggest using it as an emergency power source. I mean, since our cells can process it anyway." The council chamber erupted in fresh chaos as Sarah pulled out her scanner, already drafting improvements to the station's power grid. And somewhere in the galaxy, a cleaning robot began humming the opening notes of Eye of the Tiger, proving that some things, once set in motion, can never be undone. Evolution had played its ultimate card, creating a species that treated the impossible as merely a suggestion. The galaxy would never be the same, but it would definitely be more interesting.